Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Today we're talking about Winter Park, Florida. What is going on with the data here? And if you are from Winter Park or if you are thinking of buying here soon, you need to pay close attention to the update because as we are seeing all across Florida, there are changes unfolding in the housing market. And I hate to say that for someone like me who watches the news closely, every single new article I see is of very nature of rents are falling in Florida. Unsold inventory is 90% year over year. And we're seeing a lot of the different narratives that are breaking out across the entire country. Only in Texas, Florida, and particularly Idaho, these three states are seeing a much different picture, much more extreme in terms of how much unsold inventory is kind of sitting around. So every market is different. Market and real estate in general is very local. So if you're in this area, let's dive into the data and just get a clear picture of how it looks right now. These trends, some of them are going to shock you, but if you appreciate the information that I'm bringing to you, dive down below, smash the like button, and let's get into the update. Now, real quick, I always like to start off with a wider picture. I'm going to go and pull up the entire marketplace of Orlando. So I'm going to type in Orlando, and the data, by the way, if you're watching and you're saying, where are you getting this information, Jared? This is called SunStats. This is data provided only to the Realtors Board. It's the back-end data that we have access to for the entire state of Florida. It is the closest thing you can get a pulse to find out what is going on in the marketplace. Now, I'm going to show you information on the Florida actually particularly the Orlando metropolitan area, just so you can have a baseline to understand how it looks in Winter Park. Because obviously, when you take an area, you always want to consider, is this market in Winter Park doing better or worse than the greater Orlando area, right? All the different markets that we watch inside of the metro area, this will give us a good idea because Orlando metropolitan statistical area is a government marked off area that includes 4 counties of information: Seminole, Lake, Osceola, and Orange. Okay, so here we go. So let's take a look. Closed sales in Orlando. Closed sales down 3% year over year. Interesting because last year was a very slow year. Orlando is trending. And the data that we're looking at, the most recent month we have on record so far is May. And these are 2024 in the left column and what we posted in 2023 last year. Okay, so sales are down 3%. Well, not a big deal as long as we don't have inventory shooting through the roof. Cash as a percentage of closed sales dropping. So by the way, the Orlando metro area, this will be interesting to see what Winter Park is doing, but the Orlando metro area is 26%. So 1 out of 4 buyers in the Orlando MSA is actually from a cash buyer. Okay, median sale price in Orlando is practically flat. It's 1.5% up. You can see that is a dead even line in that particular side of things. Dollar volume in Orlando is 0.4%. So it's nearly identical to last year. And folks, we don't want to see that in the update because what that tells us is we are tracking one of the lowest years on record, 2023. 2023, we across the country, buyers were out to lunch. They were not buying anything. We have just over 4 million homes sold in 2023. So to give you an idea, we haven't seen that turnover in 30 years, such a low sell-off in a single year. And it's not good that we're seeing us down, okay? But let's look down to the bottom, okay? So Orlando, months of supply is up 80%, okay? Months of supply last year, if we would have if you just stop listing inventory in Orlando, it would take you 2 months to sell all the inventory that you have. That has since jumped to 3.6 months of inventory. Now, above that, this is a problem, okay? Earlier you saw closed sales is down 3%. Active inventory is up nearly 80% in Orlando. And again, this is the narrative across Florida. So this isn't just Orlando. Orlando's seeing massive surge. Miami's seeing it. Tampa's seeing it. Jacksonville is leading one of the hottest, coldest, I should say. It's not hot. It's highest amount of inventory over here. So a lot of the major metros, Gulf side, all of it is starting to see a shift. Pending inventory is down almost 16%. Okay. What does pending inventory being down 16% mean? Okay. That's a future indicator. That means if we're pending, putting homes under contract at a much lower rate, the future months are also going to be weak as well in terms of closed sales. Lower contracts means lower future closings, which is just a sign there's less buyers. There were a lot fewer buyers last year. There's a lot less buyers this year. And for whatever reason, maybe it's rising unemployment rates, different factors of expense issues in Florida. We have insurance, off the charts, property taxes constantly going up. All these factors kind of lead people to wanting to sell their homes. I did an update on my main Florida channel. If you've not followed that, you should go check it out. We are seeing data where the market in Florida, all the major markets in Florida, rents are falling. So residential rents are down in every major market. So in Jacksonville led the nation in year-over-year slump for rent. When that's taking place, folks, when you start seeing your rents fall 12%, such as you see them there, Tampa's down like 6%, which I think is a record drop in rents in Tampa. That's record ever, okay? And Miami and Orlando less so. They're not seeing the same degree of softness. But when you start seeing that kind of those issues happening, it doesn't just take unemployment that drives higher inventory. You have the squeeze on an investor. You own this property and you're renting it out, maybe only making $1,000 a month, and all of a sudden your rent's dropping. And at the same time, you got a call from your insurance agent and they said, surprise, your insurance is going up $450 a month. Well, you're like, well, that's almost half my cash flow. Not to mention all the other factors that are involved. But one of the things I want to show you, let's look at Winter Park specifically, right? Real estate is incredibly local, so each of these marketplaces are going to do vastly different. What I'm going to show you right here is we're going to look at some data in history. I like looking city by city and actually pulling the city's history going back to 2012. The reason why in 2012 you were settling down from the great financial collapse. So like inventory levels back here, if we had a chart going back a few more years, you'd see a little bit higher, but then all of a sudden it started to come down, okay? So Winter Park proper, like this is basically your inventory line is really around 200 units, right? I always like to pull pre-COVID because when COVID monetary policy hit, it obviously hit the floor right here after 2020, okay? But like before that, we call this area of time normal. It'll be interesting to look at Winter Park too, because Winter Park is so built out that there hasn't been a massive inflow of new units to like mess up the numbers. Like, you had this volume of units for a very long time, and ultimately you would need your active inventory to come up here for you to be in a kind of a sketchy situation. So let's take a look. So right here, you have your inventory fluctuating around 200 plus, and you bottomed out around 40 units in December of 2021. And then when Powell hit the interest rate button and rates started to rise, even then, like you didn't really see a surge of inventory. You've kind of been bouncing around 90 units. So to me, this is unusual. So hats off to you, Winter Park. I'd imagine there's a lot of folks here that are very mindful of what's going on in the market, very patient, probably not a lot of mortgage volume here. And so that it's just obviously there's factors there that people can just be patient. If there's any market concerns or if there's any time frames where things get kind of murky, they just pull back. But look at this. So median sales price, you can see it's just kind of going along. Like if you were to cut a line right through the middle, Winter Park's like 106, something like that. And you can see most of this year, the median sale price in Winter Park is positive. So May was up 5, April's up 21, 24. And again, I like to look at median sale price, especially in a upper end market like Winter Park, because if you look at average price, it gets skewed if you end up selling a lot of really expensive properties one month, or, say 1 month, the townhomes in Winter Park is basically really all that's sold. So the average gets very volatile. Median is probably the closest way you can kind of balance the market out. But I'm curious to see what is cash sales as a percentage of all closed properties in this market. How is that looking lately? Well, look, you can see it's got record high cash activity in Winter Park in a 12-year time span, okay? So you can see going back all the way to 2012 that, this is obviously an interesting part for this market is, mortgage rates is not playing a factor to the same degree that maybe it is in Castleberry or, one of the other surrounding markets like Longwood. you have very, very high cash interest. But let's take a look at months of supply. I'm curious to see, is the market shifting at all? Because your inventory is so low that in this situation, the only thing that could affect it is buyers backing away, you know? So buyers have to really back away with such low inventory levels to swing your market. Well, it's obviously low. So you have, Winter Park has one of the tightest markets yet in the entire marketplace for Central Florida, okay? So I'm a student of this. I watch it. I've not shot a video on Winter Park yet, but this is fascinating because look at this. You have all this. This is your history of months of supply, okay? You run normally 4.95 months of supply. That's your market homeostasis. That's what you're used to. And look at this, which again, you have half the supply you're used to running, which I will tell you is good because in this marketplace, about all you can count on is your cash buyers in a high interest rate environment. You know, so as far as it stands right now, Winter Park stays around 100 units. You are not going to probably have much price weakness anytime soon unless all the neighbors around you become a very real competitor from a price standpoint. Let's look at new listings. Are the new listings going up at all? And obviously you can see not really, okay? So again, I like to cut a line through the middle of the data and you can see that most of the time you're running, you know, you're up and down around 60. You spend several months a year above 60 units and several months a year where really close to 60 homes are hitting market at a time. Look at the past 2 years, going back to 2021. There's no time when this city has bumped past 60 units. Okay. So this is why your inventory stays low. Look at this line right here. This is, you're used to playing here. And there's obviously a major lock-in effect going on in Winter Park. And as far as that's concerned, I mean, if you're a homeowner now, a lot of your equity's on paper. Your investment here looks like it's very stable for the meantime because there's just obviously a diminished amount. Let's take a look at pendings. So pending inventory, is pending changing at all or is it stable? Okay, so it's very stable. So you can see again, 2 years, there's only so much inventory to buy up. So around 40 units a month, give or take, is what's being sold. But look at the volume. By the way, the realtors in this area are starving for business because if you focus on this area and you're used to playing up here, there's a lot more transactions than the past 2 years. There's a lot less marketplace activity. Let's look at median time to sell. Is it getting harder or easier or does it matter? Okay. So you can see that in the past 5 or 6 months, it's kind of broken out, maybe even at past eight months or so. But again, it's super low. You know, most of the time this marketplace is 100 days plus. And you can see that going back at the past, I mean, you can see the bottom chart down here. There's not a single time frame where they're anywhere near even 100 days. So in this marketplace, obviously you can see there's major stability, which is good. I mean, if you're here and you're watching all the news and you're terrified because you're looking around and you're saying, what's going on? You know, Maitland's getting softer or Longwood's getting softer or Altamont Springs is struggling. Or my friend over there owns a house trying to get out of it. You know, you have less to be concerned about. This data looks like what I see in the hottest markets in Miami in terms of like how tight it is, how safe it is, and obviously luxury market. This has been the narrative too from the national level, is that the mid-range and the bottom of the market is already struggling for the past 6 months to a year, but the luxury end, where the money still lives, that this is not such a problem. The fascinating thing is, for whatever reason, even though everywhere else in the country, people have said, enough's enough, I'm selling my house. This market is locked down. So I would tell you, which is weird because I don't say this a lot, there is a supply side tightness in Winter Park, which is not representative of much of the rest of the market. But if you are in Winter Park now and you're looking for an expert to help you with your home sale, I'm a 20-year agent, nearly 4,500 sales sold. And as far as the process is concerned, you'll very rarely find someone that knows the data as well as I do and able to do a phenomenal job to help